Hello everyone, and welcome to Lore Time with the Chibi Inquisitor. Tonight's topic is about Tyrus, the Witch Hunter Inquisitor from the Ordo Hereticus. A quote from Witch Hunter Tyrus at the Conclave of Vera. "You ask why we must cleanse the Xenos. I will tell you. The filth of the alien and the witch must be exterminated to preserve the purity of the human race, lest we degenerate into abomination." Tyrus is a witch hunter inquisitor of the Ordo Hereticus, and a staunch follower of the mono-dominant philosophy of the Inquisition, a bombastic man whose bloody purges have left thousands of heretics dead in his wake. Suspicious of all psychers, even those supposedly cleared by the Inquisition, it is Tyrus's creed to hunt down and exterminate every witch, mutant, and warlock in the galaxy, including alien psychers. If along the way this means eradicating those who would seek to protect such abhorrent creatures, then so be it. Tyrus is also perhaps one of the most active inquisitors with regards to internal policing of the Inquisition, ferociously hunting down those whom he deems heretics within the ranks of his own organization. The young Tyrus was orphaned when he was a mere 6 summons old when demons came to his homeworld of Laressa, an isolated agri-world in the Segmentum Obscurus, acting insidiously through an adolescent girl whose miraculous powers of healing had cured many people from Tyrus's village. The demon prince Kolarov spread a plague of mutation across Laressa. This weakened the fabric of reality enough for him to force his way from the immaterium into the girl's unprotected mind. In its new guise, the demon destroyed Tyrus's village and began the slaughter of its inhabitants in an orgy of mutilation. Tyrus was dragged from his home into the village's main square, where the inhabitants' corpses lay in a heaped pile. Over the next few solar hours, Koloff tortured Tyrus, taking an eye and slicing off an ear, that he might still hear his own screams and witness the destruction of his own flesh. As the leering young girl explained precisely what horrors she would next visit upon his body, Tyrus despaired and prepared for death. Only the timely intervention of witch hunter Conovus, who had tracked the demon to Laressa via the Emperor's tarot, saved Tyrus's life. The tarot has guided the servants of the Emperor for 10 millennia, and though the significance of its readings are often obscure to the point of becoming meaningless, its holy instruction is said to be imbued with the Emperor's own will. Such indeed seems to have been the case, as Kovanus, clad in a massive suit of elaborately tooled armor, intricately carved with decorative scrollwork and fluting, materialized with 4 grey armored angels of destruction in the village square. The demon girl paused in her gruesome handiwork and turned to face the witch hunter, a hiss of recognition escaping her possessed lips. Through a red haze, Tyrus saw the mighty figure of Kovanus and his armored brethren do battle with the demon girl. 3 of the angels of death were cut down with bolts of blue fire, before Kovanus swung his blessed sword in the glittering arc and beheaded the shrieking demon. Whirlwinds of demonic energy howled around the combatants as the creature was banished back to the hell from whence it came, and Tyrus watched as one of the angels burned the corpse in its cleansing fire of its weapon. Tyrus, almost blinded by pain and blood loss, staggered to the edge of the blaze, his skin blistering in the infernal heat, and spat his hatred into the flames. He cursed the demon's name, and as an armored gauntlet settled on his shoulder, he looked up into the stern features of Kovanus, and knew that there was only one path open to him now: Tyrus, becoming Kovanus' apprentice and acolyte, and journeyed back to the orbiting starship from which Kovanus and the Grey Knights, as Tyrus would later know them, had teleported. He assimilated the wonders of advanced technology and the ways of the witch hunter with a zeal only the true dedicated could muster. He was gifted with cybernetic replacements for his missing eye and ear, and Kovanus instructed him in the path of the witch hunter, the tools and methods at their disposal, and lastly, the heresy of the demonic. Never before has Kovanus known an acolyte to master the rites of detestation so quickly, or one whose pious devotion matched his own. As the Terran years of intense training passed, Tyrus grew to manhood with his hatred of demons and those who would consort with such creatures growing stronger with each passing day. He mastered weapons, martial skills, and the rites by which the demon could be vanquished. Such was his strength of devotion to the immortal God Emperor, that his word alone could stay the hand of a demonic creature and cause it to reel in pain at his fiery zeal and faith. Many base and repulsive creatures of the warp were destroyed by Tyrus and his master, until a fateful battle during the royal audience of the world of Epsilon Regalius. The Emperor's Tarot had left Corvinus and Tyrus to the palace of Regalius great and mighty in search of deviancy. The monarchy of Epsilon Regalius protested their innocence, but Corvinus was adamant that they would face the trial of the Holy Zeal. Into the palms of each member of the royal family, Corvinus placed a featureless wax tablet and a heated inquisitorial seal. When the seal glowed with heat, Corvinus explained he would press it into the wax upon each of their palms. Those whose flesh was burned would know the full wrath of the Inquisition, while those whose skin remained unblemished would have their innocence displayed for all to see. As Corvinus pressed the seal into the first outstretched hand, the features of the king's daughter split apart into a leering face of a demon. Worse, it was a demon that Corvinus knew, Koloroth. In an instant, the demon was free and dealt a mortal blow to the venerable witch hunter. As he fell, the last vestiges of humanity were cast from the faces of the captives, and the demons were free. Tyrus quickly swept up Corvinus's power knife and set about himself with a terrible fury and righteous anger, his heart burning with vengeance. The lesser thrall of demons in Kolorov's service were no match for Tyrus, and at last he and Kolorovh stood face to face, the sole figures left standing in a gore-splattered audience chamber. The two enemies fought a duel that had been 5 solar decades in the making, and almost killed the witch hunter's apprentice, bellowing words of holy purity that the demon is forbidden to withstand. Tyrus fought with the strength of the Emperor. The bitter foes traded blows, each grievous wounds to fell a lesser being. Sheer force of will kept Tyrus standing, and as he grappled with the demon, sermons of piety and devotion spilling from his lips, he punched Corvinus's weapon through the demon's chest, dragging out his still beating heart and crushing it in his gauntleted fist. The demon grinned as it died, spouting blasphemous oaths that promised the witch hunter that they would meet again, and that it had already watched him die 1,000 times. Suspecting the corruption of the royal family extended to the planet's population, Tyrus launched a bloody purge of the surrounding cities that saw tens of thousands burned at the stake. To ensure the purity of Epsilon Regalius, Tyrus took his master's suit of artificial armor as his own and repaired the damage which the demon had wrought on its holy fabric. Corvinus' masters elevated Tyrus to the status of witch hunter and granted him the full remit of an imperial inquisitor. If the experience with Corvinus had taught him anything, it was that there was only room for one species in the galaxy, and that was humanity. His purges of aliens, heretics, and warlocks has become famous even amongst other Puritan inquisitors. A fierce monodominant, Tyrus' quest to exterminate heresy, witchcraft, and alien influence has carried him from one side of the galaxy to the other, his rousing orations fanning the flames of zeal and faith on every planet he purges. After the Gland War on Dantis III against the Tyranids, Tyrus recruited Sergeant Stone as an acolyte, an Astro-Militarium veteran who was one of the only 3 survivors of a bionically altered company of Lostock 23rd. Stone's aggressiveness and devotion to duty made him an ideal member of Tyrus' retinue. During the treachery of Hanuchak, Tyrus joined forces with Devouti Malakant, a disciple of the Redemptionist faith spawned on Necromunda, who led his fanatical army on a holy crusade. The battle to destroy Hanuchak all but annihilated Malakant's followers, and, at its conclusion, the Redemptionists gladly accompanied Tyrus in his purchase. In pursuit of, in his eyes, the heretic Inquisitor Liechtenstein, Tyrus journeyed to the world of Caris-Cephalon, where he recruited the security enforcer Barbaretta. Her help in investigating the mutant uprisings which Tyrus believed might have been sponsored by the emissary Fabian, was invaluable, and she has proven to be a worthy addition to the witch hunter's retinue of acolytes. Tyrus continues to pursue the unholy, purge the unclean, and smite the unworthy. It is his sacred task to bring the fire of the Emperor to those who need it most, and destroy those who would see his light dim. Tyrus's reliance on methods first used thousands of Terran years ago is reassuring to many people, who see the guilt of innocence of his subjects determined by the will of the Emperor himself. Tyrus is a great believer in many of the more arcane and religious trials and ordeals employed to judge the guilt or innocence of those he investigates. One of the more popular of these is the trial by balance, in which a droplet of the accursed person's blood is placed on a set of finely tuned scales opposite the same amount of water blessed by a member of the ecclesiarchy. If the blood proves to be heavier, it is believed that this is because it is weighed down by the guilt of the donor's crimes, and that they are condemned. The ordeal of the blade is another, which Tyrus most famously employed on the Saphraphon of Gladerinus, for a heavy razor-sharp sword is gripped in the fists of a potential heretic, which they must hold above their head, while the Inquisitor lists the accusations leveled against them in order of severity. If they can complete this feat without dropping the blade or its keen edge drawing blood, then they have proved their innocence of the charges. If blood is spilt or the sword slips, the last spoken accusation and those remaining to be leveled are true. Miraculously, Saphraphon Hydrapasta successfully endured the ordeal for 3.5 solar hours, while Tyrus listed nearly 1,000 charges against him. There are many other types of trial and ordeals. In trial by Holy Seal, the accused has a wax tablet placed upon their outstretched palm, and a hot seal is applied to it. If the skin beneath the wax is burnt, this is an indication of guilt. If it is unharmed, then this is an indication of the Emperor's blessing. Other times, Tyrus has ordered those he is investigating to drink a jug of blessed water. If the accused cannot do so without choking or gagging, they are presumed guilty, having been unable to imbibe the holiness of the Emperor. Tyrus has also been known to use the Imperial Tarot, a divination process believed to be guided by the Emperor himself, to determine the innocence or guilt literally on the turn of a card. Many are comforted by Tyrus' use of such a traditional method, and his staunch belief that it is the God Emperor who makes these judgments, not himself. Thank you for joining me with this in-depth look into Inquisitor Tyrus. Please stay safe, friends, and I will see you next time.